I'm a very sentimental person.
This has been a real deep podcast.
I didn't mean it to be so. The death of Stalin.
That was not funny.
Oh!
It's the traditional hero arc. You want to see them struggle.
There's no heroes here. Come on.
No.
And I still think to this day that they probably are still, thrusting around in the dark, so to speak.
I think, no, don't.
So helping people doesn't make you weak.
Wow, that's not what I expected to come out of your mouth just then.
Hello, Pip. How are you?
I'm good, Paul. How are you?
See, notice how I just left that hanging?
No, helping people is not weak.
No, that's right. Yeah, sorry, guys. We were just having a conversation.
You're going to bring that deep and meaningful conversation onto the podcast, are you?
No,
and people will be going, what are they talking about?
No, we'll just leave that hanging in the air. How was your week?
Yeah? How was your week? Got some stuff done? Didn't get other stuff done?
No, actually, it was pretty... it was a pretty good week in regards to getting stuff done, I have to say. I was fiddling around with the will and getting stuff done with that sort of thing, and that's been hanging over my head for 12 months because I've swept it under the carpet.
Paul's talking about his father for anyone else who's listening in on this conversation.
Yes, as you can see, I have no filter.
Oh my gosh, we really should finish our conversations properly before we start recording.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Nobody listens to it.
I'm glad you've got that sorted. I mean, you don't want that stuff hanging over your head.
No,
you need a
that's all good.
Clean slate and all that stuff, and then you can come here and record with me, and then we won't have people going, right.
Now, this week we're not going to have Pick of the Week. I'm just going to park it for the simple fact that I think we're going to need all the time that we can have just to discuss these two films this week. So I won't lose our 7 or 8 minutes that we usually waste on Pick of the Week sort of thing because, my goodness, we had some meaty films this week, didn't we?
So this week we had A Star is Born and Green Book. But now, which one did you want to talk about first, Paul?
It doesn't really matter.
A Star is Born?
I think we can do Star is Born. No, well, actually, let's do Green Book because that's the standard by which we're going to have to hold all these other movies. Now, people who didn't listen to us last week, I'll just give a simple explanation. Green Book won the Academy Award for Best Picture.
It did.
And there's been a little bit of controversy over the fact that people think that it just skated in and other films were more worthy of the gong than it got. So we thought, right, well, we'll roll up our sleeves and give it the Pip and Paul prodding progress.
The do-over.
And we thought we'd put them all through the paces and compare them all up against Green Book and see what sort of film it is. So I guess the best thing we can do is just do Green Book first, and then we can quickly talk for a little bit about Bohemian Rhapsody, which we've already reviewed, up against it. And we'll compare each of these films. We'll give them their own review, of course, and what we think of the films themselves as they stand, but also in conjunction whether or not it was a stronger film than the Green Book. Now, all of this is subjective.
Well, it's only our opinions.
It's only our opinions.
And okay? I don't believe we're judges on the Academy Award board.
Well, you're not, but I am. I've paid them the extra $30. And I'm good to go. So
wow.
Yes. So that's what we're going to try and do. We'll have a look at each of these films over the next few weeks, and we'll just compare them up against. And if nothing, I don't know if anyone else is necessarily doing this or not, but if there's
there's other people doing it.
If there's a controversy there, and let's face it, it's all about films, and it gives us a good excuse to look for all these. Let's face it.
You get to go watch them.
These first two films are fairly substantial pieces, aren't they?
I think you're jumping ahead of yourself.
I don't believe I am. Let's face it. If you have got a movie that is up for an Oscar for Best Movie, it probably is a substantial film.
Okay.
We're not Talking about Dumb and Dumber here. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dear.
It's a stupid film. All right, okay. All right, so would you like a synopsis, please, Pip?
Would I like one? Nah. Would you like me to give one?
I blew that out in the arse, didn't I? All right, okay, here we go. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Here we go.
Talking bouncer Tony Lip is hired by Dr. Don Shirley, a world-class African-American pianist, to be his driver and bodyguard as he embarks on a musical tour of the Deep South in times of segregation and racism. Although at first neither man can come to grips with the other, an unexpected understanding develops and they actually become friends.
Would you like to go first or would you like me to go first?
Knock yourself out.
All right. Okay.
Do you know, can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Did you make the joke about Dumb and Dumber because Dumb and Dumber's director is the same director for this? Is that why you were joking about it?
Yes. You caught me out.
Is it real? Are you? Did you actually research that or not?
Are you surprised by my level of going in and digging this stuff up?
Yes. A little. No, but I shouldn't be because you have been researching lately.
I feel like I've had to lift myself to another level. As I've got further into this, I may or may not be taking myself a little bit more seriously as a movie reviewer.
If you start rocking up to this podcast with a little book,
well,
I'm going to sit here and laugh and point.
No, I wouldn't, but I'm very, very close to rocking up with... I'll just turn that down. We're getting a little bit of an echo here tonight, aren't we?
I don't hear an echo.
That's okay. Look, I'm very close to turning up with...
a tablet?
Yes.
Oh.
One of them. Because I don't actually physically write stuff down, but I will speak to the tablet.
Tablet, who directed?
That's correct. Yes. So bullet points. Yes. I'll turn up with PowerPoints. Yeah. Because if it's more than 5 things, then I've lost it. So... But yes, there was that. Now, this film,
Green Book.
Green Book. When I first sat down to watch this, I did it with a completely empty slate. I didn't really know. Jolie walked past and said, "Oh, are you watching Green Book?" And I said, "Yes." And said, "Oh, so you're watching Aragon?" I went, "Who?" And then the guy's standing there, and I'm looking at Jolie, and then I look at him, and I go, "Oh, it's Aragon."
How long has the movie been going for?
20 minutes. But to my defence, Aragon did not look like him.
Or sound like him.
No, he was older and fatter and more Italian.
He did a brilliant job.
I think he looked very old and fat and Italian, yes.
Oh, Viggo looked fine. He did a great job.
He had a great force of character, and I couldn't work out whether he was a good guy or a bad guy because it didn't give you that opening where you had a great deal of confidence in his character.
It was standard for that time.
It was. And then, of course...
Can I admit something before you keep going?
You can admit anything. Are you gay?
No. I did that thing that I do when I'm watching... I did that thing that I do where I'm like, why did he put the glasses in the bin? What was wrong with those men?
Oh, you're joking. That was as obvious as all fuck.
I haven't read anything on this film because I just went, I don't want to go in with anything. I went in with nothing.
Pip, you are such an innocent sometimes.
I actually rewound. I actually went back and I watched it. And I went, far out.
He's Italian. I mean, perhaps because I've done a lot of... gangster films and stuff like that. There is a bit of animosity. And may I say...
My brain had to go, well, hang on, what was happening at that time period? Oh, Pip, you're so stupid.
Can we talk about whiteness for a minute?
Go for it.
No, and this is directly... In the 50s and 60s sort of thing...
So, this film's set in 1962.
Yes, they didn't consider Irish people white.
I know, yes.
Until like the 1930s.
No, I got that.
And then the Italians set up, and they were not considered white until the 1950s. And, of course, African Americans were not considered the white. They won't be considered white for, until 3000 probably. Certainly until the...
Not what they want to be, gosh.
Well, this is the problem. When you're considered white, there's an acceptance. And, that's... when he was called a half N-word...
oh yes, and he punched
on the side of the road, and then he punched him and react. It's because what I'm trying to say is each wave of immigration, when they're the outer, they quite often become, and it's very prevalent. This is a very prevalent thing here in Australia as well. Any colonial wave of immigration, each culture that comes into Australia, and I imagine it's the same because this is. It's basically human nature that as they come in to establish themselves, they have to become as racist as the white people so that they can be established to be on the same level as the white people sort of thing.
We're on the same team, yeah.
We're on the same team. We all hate brown people. You know what I'm saying? and that is the dynamic that's happening there.
Oh, yeah, I know. It was interesting. The dialogue.
I'm sorry if I sounded offensive to anyone. It's not intended. I'm trying to explain that that's the human dynamic, and it's still in work today, even now.
The dialogue that was used and some of the subtle things that were in this film sold that so well.
Yes. And you had to...
Even those of us who are so stupid they can't pick up on the start of the film what was wrong.
You're not stupid. Don't start that.
No, but I missed that completely. I had to go back and watch it again because I went, why were the glasses chucked out? I couldn't for the life of me work it out.
You just, as I said before, sometimes you have an innocence about you and you don't see the badness in people that is in everybody.
I know, but
it's all lollipops and rainbows and unicorns.
I'm sure if I keep watching enough of these films, it will lock itself in.
Look, if you need to get that awareness happening, may I suggest read more George Orwell and you'll get there.
No, thanks, I'm done. But no, it was these subtle little scenes that were done and the way that it was portrayed in the film, I thought was done so beautifully.
Okay, now, I thought this was an exquisite film. And can I just tell you my favourite part of the entire movie, which is not what you would think. When he had
spoilers, people, if you haven't watched this. You got to tell people that.
No, this is only halfway through the film.
Okay.
When he got the shit kicked out of him, right, what's his name? Dr. Scully?
Dr. Shirley.
It's Shirley, is it?
Yeah, it's Shirley. Don Shirley.
For some reason, Scully ingrained itself in my brain. I kept hearing Scully all the way through it. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I'm an idiot. And anyway, so he got his head basically caved in by...
he was being beaten up in the bar, you mean?
Yes. And then they were cut to the next scene the next night, and he was playing jazz. But the actor, the way he set his shoulders, whether or not he was the one who was actually playing the piece, the way he set his shoulders... And it was there, but you could see he was absolutely furious as he was playing, and he was playing out the beating in his own head while he was playing the music. And yet the music itself wasn't particularly violent, but you could see it. And I just thought, that's the next level.
Was that where the camera was actually coming over the piano and you actually see him face on? Because a lot of the pieces, you're actually seeing him from the side with his trio, but for that one... You actually saw him over the top of the piano.
I thought that was masterclass acting. I really did. That was one of the most impressive scenes I've seen. And it's not a big scene. It's not a big scene, but every once in a while you see people really take on the character, and he was just there. He was top notch.
But what was interesting about that piano piece where he's, after the beating and he's beating that piano.
Yes.
That's the second time that piece was played. And the first time it's played, he's all flourished smiling.
That's right.
It was completely different.
Yep. So, I'm glad you picked up on it as well, sort of thing. I just thought, I just looked at it and I thought, that's done well. Because it wasn't hitting you over the head. No. And I always appreciate it.
It's showing, not telling. And there's so many parts in this film where they're showing you. They're just giving you sneak views and you just go, oh my gosh.